looking back now, I realized that I hadn't invested completely and I didn't have that personal relationship with Jesus. And so when I went off to college, I decided I'd do it my way, I guess. And I didn't go to church most of my 20s and kind of just live life. And I ended up marrying my high school sweetheart when we graduated college. And unfortunately, we separated.
I was born and raised in Arkansas by a single mother. She raised me in the church, raised me well. We moved out here in, I think, '93, around that same time. Promptly thereafter was offered and partook in my first joint and kind of followed that right into the world.
A couple years down the road, when we were in our 30s, we were back together and we were engaged, and we decided, since we'd already had the big wedding, we were just gonna do something very simple with just the two of us. And since we were getting older and we both really wanted kids, so we decided we'd go ahead and start trying to get pregnant while we were engaged. And we did get pregnant, and unfortunately, we found out very early on that the pregnancy wasn't viable. And that was definitely the hardest thing I've ever been through. That loss and just going through that was more than I thought I could handle.
Around 2003, my best friend committed suicide, and I didn't really know how to deal with that and tried opiates for the first time and tried to numb my pain with drugs and alcohol. It ended up leading me down a pretty dark path, and once again I tried to run from it instead of dealing with it, and I went back to Arkansas for a few years and farmed, but everywhere I went, there I was, and nothing changed.
A couple weeks into that, we were in for some checkups from, just what we've been through, and we found out at that time that the pregnancy had actually formed a really rare form of cancer in my uterus, and it had already spread to my lung.
So I came back here in, I guess it was '99, and I came here for a vacation, but I ended up getting a DUI and stayed for to deal with all the legal stuff and whatnot. So that's pretty much when I started coming to beach, and I knew that I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do for God. I knew He had a calling for my life, but I just didn't know how to get rid of or change who I was inside on my own. I finally surrendered and gave it all to Christ.
I remember being at lunch with a friend, and I was talking to her about it, and she goes, "You should come try beach." And I said immediately, I said, "No, it's too big. I don't want to just be a number, and it's really important that I feel connected and that I can have a church family, and it's really what I'm looking for." And she said, "Well, just try it once." And okay, so tried it, and I loved it and started going every week. And
I know that they say that becoming a Christian doesn't make things easy, and your life's not going to be easy, but for me, it's much easier to live within God's will than to fight against it. We're also called to pick up our mat and carry it, and my addictions and my past is my mat, and hopefully I can inspire, or Christ can inspire somebody through me and what I've been through, so that it can help change their life.
A couple weeks ago during the Miracles series, Joby ended one of the sermons saying, if anyone's going through something hard and needs prayer, then please come forward and we'll pray over you, and we have anointing oil. And we went forward that day and he prayed over us and he did the oil, and we claimed healing in His name with no outs, and I believed it, and 2 days ago, we did blood work, my monthly blood work, and that tumor marker had dropped 82% with no medical treatment. It was all him. It was all God. It was his miracle showing us that he still does it today.
I realized I needed to do something different with my life, and that for me, there was no other way around it than to do what God wanted me to do, and that was to follow him and not follow this world.